Well, good morning, everyone. And we thank you for joining us once again for a Saturday morning Facebook Live. We have a great show for you this morning. We have a wonderful guest. You may have heard of Dr. Fayron Epps. Sorry, I forgot the last name. Dr. Fayron Epps, and she's here today to talk with us about dementia friendly services in different churches, different denominations, and so forth. So we are so happy to have her here. And with that, I am going to wish her a good morning and introduce my other half, my better half, much better half, Maureen Rulison.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Dr. Epps. Again, thank you so much for your time on this early Saturday morning. I'd like to read you all Dr. Epps's bio. It's incredibly impressive, and I can see that she is a woman of intention because you can follow her bio and see that she had a plan and she took those steps to achieve the plan. And I would say even I'm sure exceed your plan. So Dr. Fayron Epps is an assistant professor, tenure track, and has joined the Nell Hodgson Woodruff School of Nursing in August 2019. She has 20 years of nursing experience. Dr. Epps completed her doctoral degree in nursing from Southern University and A&M College. She has a Master's of Science degree in nursing healthcare systems management from Loyola University, New Orleans,
Yay!
and a
What?
bachelor's.
Y'all went to Loyola?
I'm from New Orleans originally.
Me too, Brian.
Are
Wow.
you? With a last name like LeBlanc, you know.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. Yes. I'm sorry, Maureen.
Well, and his grandfather's name was Bear, which
Oh, people
I
say
have
her.
found out is like half of New Orleans.
Yeah, there, yes.
Uh, so, Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from Tuskegee University in 2015. She completed her postdoctoral fellowship with the National Hartford Center of Gerontological Nursing Excellence. She is a 2018-2019 Tideswell Emerging Leaders and Aging Scholar. Dr. Epps is an active member of numerous professional organizations, including the Gerontological Society of America and Southern Gerontological Society. She currently serves on the board of directors for the Southern Gerontological Society. And thank you for this opportunity to learn how to say gerontological
I
properly.
know.
She did it without stuttering.
Yes.
The first time I did, the Alzheimer's Association Georgia chapter and the I said that, and Meals on Wheels Atlanta. Dr. Epps also leads an interdisciplinary collaborative called Faith Village Connections that works with African American churches and provides them with the tools and skills needed to support congregations and communities in relation to dementia and other chronic illnesses. Her career goal, again, I just really an intentional woman. I just admire that so much. Her career goal as a nurse scholar is to promote health across the lifespan and increasing the quality of life for family caregivers and persons living with dementia through nursing, research, education, and service. Thank you, Dr. Epps, for all your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm just super excited to know that Brian is from New Orleans. Out of all of that intro, that's what I take away. So I am so excited. And I know we're not here to talk about New Orleans, but I'm just excited.
What pleases me is you said it correctly. You know, New Orleans, and I spell it Newawlins.
Oh, wow.
So,
yes, we can make sure we could get it. Okay, well, that's cool. I went to McMain just to give you a little bit more background when I was down there, and I moved from Laplace. But anyway, that's not for the whole world, right? So let's what are we here to talk about?
Well, this entire month, We Are Dementia Strong has been dedicating to creating dementia-friendly faith communities in our world. And certainly I see that that's where our paths cross.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I might just start us with a question, and then Dr. Epps, please take us where you think we need to go on
Okay.
this in case I missed the mark. Okay. Um, my first question is, can you tell us all about Faith Village Connections?
Yeah. So Faith Village Connections, that's we started, it's now have transformed into the Faith Village Research Lab. But basically, it's just it's a group of individuals, and I have students in it. Just as you explained, Maureen, that our whole purpose is to bring awareness to the Black community, and dementia awareness. And along with that dementia awareness, we're also trying to make sure that we talk about brain health as well. It's just that so much. It's a topic that's not talked about overall in any community, but especially in the Black community, it is just not talked about and so that's why we decided to get out and really let that be our main driving force. And as I'm out there in the community, I'm able to introduce research, and so to give the opportunity for members of the community to participate in research and educate them on the different types of research. And, like you mentioned, service, it's all about us giving back to the community. And so that's the whole point of it. And the village came about, Maureen and Brian, is because, it takes a village. It's an old African proverb, and I just left it right there. I didn't finish it out because I believe it just takes a village. And then when we're looking at those families that are facing dementia, they need their village. And that's what I firmly believe. And I think that village can be made up of whoever. And I want my team, to be part of that village. And I also work with the churches to make sure they realize they're part of the village too. And so that's kind of how that name came about, with that Faith Village.
Thank you. And you are so right. Another way that I've heard someone say to Brian is, I'm a member of your tribe. So
Tribe, yeah. Yeah. Because I think it's just, as we're going through this, any family, you all know this, is you do need a team, a tribe, a village. You do. Even though there is some care partners that want to do it all alone. They say, Fayron, I'll reach out to you once I get it together. No. You need to reach out to me now so I can bring some people in and we can help you get it together. But there's so many people that want to say that. And in the Black community, there's that superwoman thing that we have. And, we got it, but no, it is okay,
it's not a weakness.
Yes.
It's not a weakness.
And so, I think that's very important to stress. And a lot of my research is for not just the care partner, caregiver, and it's not just for the person living with dementia, it's for both. And I try to make sure that it's infused in a lot of the projects that I do it's for both. Because a lot of my colleagues only focus on one or the other. But I really feel that anything that I develop should be for both. Because it should be able to improve something for the care partner or the person living with dementia.
Because they're very, I don't want to say codependent, interconnected. I know even at our stage, Brian's and my stage of care partnering, what affects one of us affects both of us. And I know that we are new to each other. So, hey, I get to say something I always say, and you hear it for the first time. Prior to Brian and I getting together, was very, very active in the person-centered care community and dementia world. And, I was very educated on all of this. I knew all the answers except for the real ones of being a caregiver. And I became that 24/7 caregiver. And I said, yes, all those things they've taught and I've taught are very valuable. None of them are invaluable. But what's most important is that compassion, forgiveness, and reality wrap themselves around those. And I cannot count the number of times. Well, I probably could if I wanted to take a few minutes. Just this week, I've made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But having our care partner tribe, village, whatever you want to call it, I can reach out to them. Brian can reach out to them. It's amazing.
So imagine, Maureen, imagine for the families that they can reach out to their church. Imagine how that would make them feel. So many families I've met, I encounter feel that they cannot reach out to their church. So if they don't have that personal tribe that they felt, I can't even call my pastor, or I can't even call anybody at church because they don't know. And so that's what really touches my heart right there. And that's what really pushed me more to, hey, let me go straight to these leaders, these faith leaders, and let them know what's going on.
And, my father was a Presbyterian minister. And so I say this with a little bit of personal knowledge. And that is, we do hold our spiritual leaders up on a pedestal and have great expectations of them sometimes. And most all of them reach those great expectations. I mean, they're wonderful human beings,
Mm-hmm.
but they are humans just like the rest of us. And what I find is that two things come into play so many times with so many things, but in this particular avenue is fear of the unknown, what if. And the second is the misconception that we should treat everyone alike. And so if we do for one set of people, one group of people, then we need to do for every other group of people that there is. Well, number one, no two human beings are alike. So why should we say we're going to treat everyone alike? And second, you can, pick where you're going to be strong and start there. Don't be worried about what everybody is going to say about you. Just pick that place and start. So with that being said, what is step one for someone wanting to bring a dementia-friendly service into their own faith community, Dr. Epps?
Step one is us speaking with the spiritual leader. If that's not, if it's not that, if it's just a parishioner or a congregation member that wants to do this, we have to get in touch with the leader of the congregation. And speaking to them to understand, why it'd be necessary, why it be important. And once they're like, okay, yes, then Maureen, the step one does not look the same for everybody after they agree, because each congregation is different, right? We interact with different denominations for the most part, different Christian denominations. And so I bring to them a model. Right now, I have a study that is funded by the Alzheimer Association where I designed a dementia-friendly online worship service. But then before that, I had a model for in-person worship service that was informed by community stakeholders in the African American community. And so I bring forth this model, and then they can see what works for them. And so the basis of it is making sure there is a lot of music, familiar hymns, familiar passages, also making sure that there is some type of visual presentation. So these are the things that we try to speak to them about. And then they can take it back and say, okay, what can we do to put these things in place. The dementia friendly online worship service that I've done this is the one I really love because I was able to get a Black pastor to do a sermon in 2 minutes. And that is unheard of. Yeah, because I'm going to tell y'all, it's been a journey, because even when I was trying to do the in-person worship service, some churches have 3 hours, 2-hour services, and here I'm like, that's not going to cut it, right? We need to decrease it, and that was the battle. Everything else was good. It was the time was the battle. Me trying to get them to move the service to 60 minutes to an hour, just an hour. And they were like, all right, give us 75 minutes. Not, and then when I'll show up to the service, I'm like, y'all are over 75 minutes. And so that was the hard part in real time, trying to monitor that. And I struggle with that because I bring my research to the community, and I work with pastors, and when the Holy Spirit takes over them, right, my research goes out the door. And so they're like, oh, Fayron, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, I can't, but I have to tell you all, when I followed families for the in-person worship services, I thought, because I would invite them to the churches that were doing these services, I would sit in the back and I would observe. And I would look at the time and I'll be like, it's not going to be good. Right. I was like, this is just way too much. But they proved me wrong. So they proved me wrong, because they did sit, if they went over 75 minutes, these families engaged. And when I asked them what made it different than their previous church or something like that, and it was the music, because the pastor did incorporate familiar hymns when he knew the families were coming. It was the sermon. He selected different messages, and it was a familiar environment for that person living with dementia. So it brought them back. So they automatically knew. So 30 years ago, or it's not even 30 years. Well, yeah, about 30. I remember when my grandmother was living, it was okay to be in church on a Sunday for an extended amount of hours. That was normal, right? Mm-hmm. And so they taught me something that here I was like, oh, it had to be such a short period of time when you're in person, but it was that familiar environment.
Right.
That was okay.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend that the churches have a sensory room, that if someone does become overwhelmed or overstimulated, that they can go there?
Yes, I call it a quiet room. Mm-hmm. And all the churches so I guess I have multiple projects, Maureen and Brian. And so
let me look shocked.
And so a lot of them are interrelated. So I had the dementia friendly congregation program called Altar, where we've officially partnered with churches that are committed. They say, we want to do this. So not just support these families through worship services, we want to support them overall. And I have initiatives that they will agree to implementing over 2 years. And that is one of those initiatives, is making sure that they have this room, that it will be available for any of the in-person activities that they host or do. So that is one of the things. I wanted to go back to the online worship service. So I told y'all about the in-person. The online worship service I'm in love with it. They're 6 to 10 minutes in length. And when I tell you, so we observe the families, we put it through Zoom and we watch them. And what I've seen families worship together that never worshiped. Like a son and a daughter and a father. I never went to church with my dad, right? And this was an activity that we was able to do together. And it was meaningful for both of them, right? I've seen couples just become so emotional. And, they were able to do this together. in their home setting, and the word, they spoke to the message that the bishop had. They felt it was timely. The music, it just touched them so. Uh-oh.
You're here.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Uh-oh.
Okay. You're here.
Okay.
You're still here.
All right. I don't know what's going on with my
Can
screen.
you not see yourself?
No, she's freezing.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can keep talking.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. So I hope my face, however I'm frozen, I hope it looks okay.
It does.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brian. But and then I had another family saying that they never they didn't know that their mom still knew Bible verses. They didn't know, that they were still would be able to be attentive. And then care partners said, Dr. Epps, I just didn't know. I just needed 10 minutes to feed my spirit.
Yep.
And it just changed my whole day. I continued with the song for the rest of the day. The message stayed with me all week, helped them manage stress. So this was some of the feedback that I received. And that's why I'm so excited to talk about that. And I want more families to experience it, because I even wrote where I can give tablets to families now. So with data on it, so they can be able to connect to these worship services. Because I truly believe this is so important for families, especially when they have a strong religious upbringing. That is important that we continue to be able to support them in that area. I've had care partners, and Maureen, you just let me know if I'm talking too much.
No, but before is there a website where people can go to see this online worship service?
Yeah. And so I have the bishop. He was so excited because I have some of them that's part of a study. It's 6 of them he developed that we haven't released to the public yet, because we want people to engage in a study. But Maureen, he was so excited about the feedback, and he is so into this and being able to serve those. He went ahead and over and beyond and created additional services for the public. And I put it on my YouTube channel, it's Faith Village Research YouTube channel. And he did a communion service. He did a Mother's Day service, a Father's Day service, and a resurrection service.
Wow.
Faith Village Research on YouTube.
Yeah. And so you can see that's the kind of structure. And for those families that are interested and want more, please just have them contact me, because the other 6 that he did are just amazing. Like,
and what's the best way for them to contact you, Dr. Epps?
Yeah. So the best way is they can call me at 678-723-8188. And they can also text that number too.
Ma'am, I apologize. I thought I was typing and I wasn't. May I have the number again, please?
No problem. 678-723-8188.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question for you that came from one of our listeners, watchers. And this is from Melinda, who's one of our faithful people that tune in every week.
Yes.
She asks, do you have any suggestions for people who may not be affiliated with a church?
So is it per choice, Melinda? Or I'll ask both. So if it's per choice, then yes, look at my dementia friendly online worship services, because it's open to all, or just contact me. The bishop is coming from a non-denominational standpoint. So it's really, despite denomination, that person should be able to enjoy. It is and it's like spiritual hymns. And so again, a lot of my work is for the Black community, but it can be for all. Would enjoy that. And if you're not affiliated with a church, that is our whole goal with the Altar program. We're creating a page where we're going to list all of our church partners, that if you're in one of those areas, because we have church partners in Georgia and outside of Georgia, that you can connect with these churches and know that you can be supported in different ways.
Wonderful.
Even if you're not a member.
Linda Everman has just said that they would love for McCoy Adult Daycare to connect with Dr. Fayron Epps of Faith Village Research, and she specifically said Vivian's story. So I've put your number in there several times. I put the YouTube channel in there, and I just want to make sure we have been working here, and COVID slowed us down. I will tell you that that's unfortunately the truth, but I found that we here in Pinellas County, which is a hugely population dense county in the Tampa Bay area, do not have one faith community that has a dementia-friendly service. And I was up speaking one time pre-COVID and made that statement, and a woman interrupted me and said, "Oh, my church is dementia-friendly." I felt horrible. And I apologized all over the place. And I said, tell everybody about your dementia-friendly service. She goes, well, we have a room, and the people with dementia can go in there so that their care partners can come in and worship. And I said, forget the apologies. I was right.
Yeah.
I thought,
that
the baby cry room. Let's go.
And see, I am so purpose, like when I speak, because a lot of people that's what they would want, and no, this is for them to worship together. Now I know if those living with dementia, if they decide that's what they want a separate service just for them. But even if it's that, why not have the care partners come too? But my stuff is, I work with the churches, and I strongly, which is ultimately it's up to them, that they are inclusive and modify their current service. And it does not, if they don't want to do it every Sunday, they can choose which Sunday. If it's going to be the fifth, every time there's a fifth Sunday, or every third Sunday, they can choose. So then they can tell families, hey, you're welcome anytime, but on this Sunday, we do things maybe a little bit different. It may better support the circumstances that you're in. And that's what I encourage. But Maureen, so many people think like that person, and know that that's defeating the whole purpose. And again, with the Altar program, like, we have several initiatives, and what's amazing, y'all, when we're going over these initiatives and activities that we want them to implement, it's such an education, because they've never heard of a memory cafe. They never heard of respite, right? And we're able to speak to them and have dialogue and discussion on how they can do this. Because sometimes it sounds impossible. But, for respite, I was like, you don't have to start a respite program. Think about how can you support. So we give financial contributions to our church partners, right? So why don't you use that money to give stipends or scholarships to your families, so they can find another family member, because family will do something if you pay them, right? Or a friend. Just being real. And then they can find somebody that they trust, right? And be able to be a blessing to them while they are able to enjoy respite. And so we try to show them that there's different ways to accomplish certain things. Same goal, right? And it's just been so amazing to sit down with the faith leaders and the ministry leaders, and we end up calling them ambassadors, to talk about how they can implement some of these things, because it seems impossible. When you see our list, it's a lot of things, and we say you need to select 16 of these things, and it's like, but we talk you through, and they learning. They're like, I never realized that, and so that will really support somebody living with dementia, and we should still include them. Yes, and yes. And that's just what I firmly believe. And I just wanted to share with you all that, like, that's the approach that I have when I'm speaking to these congregations.
That's a wonderful approach. I believe with all of my heart that many people living with dementia are closer to what God wants from us in a relationship. You know, they are living in the moment, and they have very few expectations. And I just the you know, why do I care if somebody in the church service needs to get up and walk out, or stands up and says something that's on their heart, or whatever? How does that negatively impact me? It doesn't.
It doesn't. What's so funny?
In fact, it helps me.
Yeah.
You know,
Go ahead, Brian.
When Maureen told me about that congregation who had the special room, you know, for the people that are living with dementia, so the care partners can go to the service, I was livid, because I could not understand being closed up in a room that was meant for babies or children,
Right.
and expect the care partners just to leave them in there, and the care partners come out. What if their loved one or the person that they're caring for needs assistance? And I was just going through all this stuff, and whenever I speak, I talk about the stigma associated with, with people like us, and that it just really went way down and just made me so mad, and it still does every time I hear it. You know?
Yeah,
also why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
no, and again, that's why I hope you see that I'm supporting your mission, and I'm trying to discourage that as well. But it's a shame that so many people think like that. But again, the work that we're doing it is all about reducing stigma in all communities with everyone. And I want to go back, Maureen, when you said about somebody speaking out during service and stuff. That's always the fear, right? Especially you don't want to mess up service. It got to go a certain way, especially in certain denominations, right? Boom, 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 right? You don't get up when the pastor is speaking. Like, there's certain things you don't do. But when my church is like, look, all of that has to go out the door. That has to go out the door. And I had one family, he did that. He stood up, he spoke, when no one else spoke and stuff like that. And so I spoke with the bishop afterwards, and I said, Bishop, I just want to know, how did you enjoy service? How did you enjoy service? He's like, oh, it was great. I did awesome. They had somebody yelling in the middle of service, and that just kept me going, and it encouraged me. And so I just joked, and I was like, oh, that is so good, because you would think it interrupts the pastor, but it doesn't, because he was like, that was really good, because I needed that. And so that is something really I wanted to share.
Yep. And whoever that person was who stood up and spoke, obviously they were touched somehow by what that pastor or bishop was saying. And isn't that the purpose of a sermon?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I was looking, Linda Everman had said this is great. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Yes.
And that reinforces what you just said about the whole list with the 16 things. But nope, you start them where they are, use what they have, and help them do what they can.
Yes. That's it. I'm sorry, y'all. I have to my lawn guy was trying to call me in the middle of our meeting.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, that's all right. You see, that's no different than the person living with dementia standing up in the middle of the service. Life goes on. So, so that you're not cutting into more of your Saturday morning, we have gone ahead and tried to put all of the resources, your telephone number, the name of your YouTube channel in here. Is there anything you would love to make sure that everybody listening now or in the future knows to do or how to get hold of you, or anything that we can make sure is there for them as a resource?
Yes. So I do have some websites for the church program, the Dementia Friendly Congregation program, that's specifically for that focus on predominantly African American congregations. It's alterdementia.com, and that's alter ALTER dementia.com. Yeah, it's a playoff of the altar, the church altar, but we're trying to alter their perceptions of dementia, reducing that stigma, Brian, and alter how they, they do things and be able to support their members. And then also, if they want to learn more about, I was trying to think, they can also email me at faithvillage@emory.edu.
Okay, so let me just make sure I've got this. Faith Village at Emory, EMORY.edu.
Yes.
Okay, got that.
And then I don't know the exact website title for this, but if they type in Faith Village Research Lab, they will be able to see all of the current faith-based projects and caregiving education projects. Because I also not do faith-based, I also do develop things for education for caregivers.
Mm-hmm. And if I could only spell, I find that I'm not very good at doing one thing at a time. Two things sends me just out the door. So,
oh, that's okay.
I've been Faith Village Research into people.
I love when I help her, and she stumbles on something and I come up with the answer, and
more times than I can tell. I despise when people who have not received a diagnosis say something like, I've got Alzheimer's or I've got dementia. But what I've said is I do believe sometimes my cognitive deficits far outweigh Brian's. So.
Yeah.
Well, Linda Everman, I also want to thank you for going in and putting all those websites in for me. She's like my research assistant.
Thank you, Linda.
And we have to, if we mention Linda and don't reference Don, he's probably going to get all jealous and everything.
Yeah.
Both on our show next week.
Right, but he also put a link in the comment section.
Let's give him his props too. Thank you, Don.
Yeah,
Well, Dr. Epps, I cannot tell you how honored we are to have had you on our show today. Thank you. I hope your lawn guy does his job. And please know I will be reaching out to you, and I will first do all the research you've given us. But this is our goal, and so we'll be reaching out to you for help.
And this has been very, very enlightening, very eye-opening, to me, but I'm sure it was the same as everyone else. So thank you so much for agreeing to be with us today.
No problem. And thank you all. And I just want to share for the listeners that, anyone that would like to learn more about what I'm doing, please reach out. And if you want to bring it to your community, and if it's outside of the Black community, I'm still open to working and sharing the information that I have. Because at the end of the day, it's all about supporting these families and making sure that faith communities have the resources. So thank you, and y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday.
You're very welcome. And also, for those of you that are watching, that you feel that someone in your life or just a friend can benefit from listening to Dr. Epps, and let's face it, who wouldn't be better off? Just please, please forward this information to them so that they can also find out what's going on in the faith community.
Thank you. Have a great Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye.